Hey everyone, and welcome back to FSI DFS. I am McKinley412, and today we're going to be looking at this 9-game early slate on DraftKings for Saturday. A couple rain games that we do have to pay attention to. It looks like rain might be impacting the New York Yankees game as well as the Chicago Cubs game. It is still a slight risk. Things can obviously change as the day goes on, as the morning goes on, but still, make sure you're paying attention to that all the way up until game time, along with any COVID news, which thankfully we have not had a lot of this season. So it's been going pretty well. So let's just turn to the pitchers, and then we'll go through some of the bats that piqued my interest. But right up at the top, Max Scherzer and Gerrit Cole. I'm kind of lump these two together because, you know, we both know the upside that each of these pitchers have. We both know that they're really, I don't want to say matchup proof, but they're pretty close to it. Scherzer, I think, would be my lean over Cole. He gets the Mets, and the Mets are just like in free fall mode. It's been going on for a while now, but even just like more recent past, the Mets in 3 of their past 4 games have scored 2 or fewer runs. So they're really struggling to generate offense recently and over the course of the past month or two. So now that they get Scherzer, so I think Scherzer is in a better matchup, and I think he's going to have no issue mowing down these Mets. Gerrit Cole on the other side, we know what his ceiling can be. He's been a little bit more up and down. You know, we have seen his struggles, especially when they got rid of all the sticky stuff, but then he brought it back. He appears to just be fluke. He's back to being himself now. Going up against Minnesota, their offense has been better than the Mets. It's still not a team that I'm absolutely like terrified of. So it's your choice, Scherzer or Cole. I would be going Scherzer. Yeah, I would definitely be going Scherzer. Fitting both of these guys into your lineup, it's gonna be pretty tricky. If you do it, you're leaving 3.5K left for the rest of your entire lineup. I mean, there is a little bit of salary savings that you can find, especially like if this Cubs game has no rain issues at all. They're going up against Bubich, weaker pitcher, and like I think over half their lineup is 2.7K or cheaper. It's just absurd. So the value is there, but still, it's gonna be real tough to fit in both these guys. GAUSMAN, you know, GAUSMAN really hasn't gone too deep into games lately. Let me pull it up. Yeah, so he's only going 5 innings for the most part in the recent past. He's going up against Oakland. It's not like he gets a park upgrade or anything. You know, he pitches in San Francisco. So, you know, he hasn't been the greatest form, especially compared to his price tag at 9.5K. And it's against offenses that are much weaker than Oakland is here today. So GAUSMAN, I don't have too much interest in outside of a GPP. I'm not saying he's a fade. Obviously, if he can give you 20 points, you know, that's not a fadeable offense. But I'm looking for a little stronger of a play, especially at that price range. But still, you know, he's fine. If you land on him, great. I'm going to be trying to find the salary to go up to Scherzer. Manea on the other side of this thing, he had those 2 just insane games and then just kind of like falling off a cliff. So who knows what happened there? He can't seem to get it together. Now he's going up against San Francisco. Good solid team, good solid offense. So I'm kind of off of him as well. I'm not saying they're complete fades, but I'm not too thrilled with their matchups at that price. Lauer's been overpriced all season long. I mean, like, he's fine. You can kind of see he's got a double-digit floor, but he 8.6K is too much for him. I'd much prefer him if he was at like the high 7K range, like 7.7, 7.9, somewhere in there. Even if he was 8K, I mean, you can maybe make an argument for him. Going up against Washington, decent matchup here. So he does have a little bit of floor, but still, his floor is 12 points, and at 8.6K, that's just not cutting it. So I'm not on Lauer here. Patino going up against White Sox. I love righty pitchers against the White Sox. So I definitely have some interest in him. McKenzie, boom or bust. I've mentioned it all season long, and you saw it perfectly in his last start out when he had that no-hitter going into the 8th inning against Detroit. He is the ultimate boom or bust kind of guy. Now he's going up against the Angels. I'm predicting this is going to be more of a bust game for him, just with that Angels offense. And historically, and all throughout the season, when pitchers have like those no hitters going deep into games, their necks start out, they tend to struggle. So I think McKenzie here is going to struggle. GPP obviously, because we know his ceiling, but I'm not going to be too interested. Ryu, he is like McKenzie light, in that he's also kind of like a boomer bust kind of guy. 9 points in the last time out, but -10, 27, 25, 5, 30, 23, -4, 11, 23. So he's kind of also in that, like, when he's on, he's locked in and he's going to give you 3, maybe 4 times return on salary, which is just amazing. But when he's not on, you can pretty much kiss your money goodbye. 8K, you know, he's not going to burn your wallet or anything. He does have a decent matchup against Detroit. However, I'm not going to be on him. I do like the Detroit bats in this situation or in this matchup, but we'll talk about that when we get to the bats. And then you kind of get to guys that are just in really tough matchups. I mean, going up against Houston, going up against the Yankees, a Yankees team whose offense has been very good in the past 2 weeks. 10 of their past 12 games have had 5 or more runs. And one of those games where they didn't, it was only a 7-inning game. So their offense is really clicking. So I'm not going to be Maeda at 7.5. I normally would have a little interest in, but against this hot Yankees team, I'm going to be passing. Going up against the Dodgers, I mean, it's just a lot of solid offenses against average pitchers that I'm not really interested in at all. Keuchel, very high ground ball rate guy, going up against Tampa Bay. Could have some interest in him. He just doesn't strike anybody out at all. So kind of gross there. But then we'll go, these bottom 3 are kind of the guys I'm kind of talking or heading towards. Detmers for the Angels, rookie. He's a starter, right? So you see that price tag of 5.8 and think, you know, is he only going to be going 2-3 innings for us? No, you know, he's a full out. He can go up to 100 pitches for you, get you 6 innings, 7 innings if he's doing really, really well. So going up against Cleveland, a nice matchup. You know, Cleveland we know that they can throw out the duds more often than other teams, but they are swinging the bat pretty well. I think this week they have run totals of like 11, 9, 8, maybe a 7. If it's not a 9, it's a 7. But still, their offense has been generating some runs, and their offense is very affordable as well outside of their top 2 bats. So if you want to like throw in those top 2 pitchers, like Scherzer and Cole, and throw in some of the Cleveland value, you're definitely going to be in position to do some a nice lineup. But still, aside from that, I think that Detmers at 5.8 is definitely an intriguing play down in that range. Bubic, I think, is the same way. You know, 5.3. Throughout his last start, I mean, yeah, he can get torched. That's why he's 5.3 in salary. But I mean, it's not too shabby. If he can get you double digits, thumbs up at this price. You know, I will definitely take it. If it means I can absolutely load up on everybody else, I'll take it. But 5.3 going up against the Cubs. You know, we talked about this Cubs team. It's just, they're a minor league team almost at this point with their offense. They have, I mean, they destroyed Molly from Cincinnati somehow. I still don't know what happened in that game. I was so tilted. But other than that, you know, they're scoring 1, they're scoring 2 runs each game. So Bubic, definitely some interest there at 5.3. And even Thompson at 5K. He was a bullpen reliever guy for the Cubs. Got sent down to the minors. They've been stretching him out, doing a longer workload. I don't expect him to have a 70, 80 pitch outing or anything. But if he can get you 4 innings, going up against weak offense at 5K, you know, shot in the dark, throw a dart, you know, sure. But I would definitely prefer Bubic or Detmers over him. So, I mean, like I said, it's Scherzer and Cole. You're going to pick one of those 2. Gausman and Manaea, they're fine. I'm not going to really be targeting them at all. Patino's nice. McKenzie, boomer bust. Ryu, boomer bust. And that's pretty much go down to the bottom here. So there's limited pitching options outside of the top 2 studs. But like I said, it could be kind of tough to fit in those top 2 guys. So let's turn towards the bats. We'll go over the highest implied run totals on the slate first, and then I'll kind of give you some of my favorite plays. We'll kind of do it a little bit different today. Toronto, they have the highest implied run total on the slate right now, going up against Willie Peralta. You know, they're pricey, but honestly, they're not too pricey given the injuries that they do have. I got to Springer and to Biggio. So Peralta, Willie Peralta, it's not a gas can, pretty close to it. But you know, Toronto, nice matchup. Highest, like I said, they're a highest implied run total. It's just going to be tough to fit in like these top bats with those top two pitchers. So what you would have to do to fit in like a bit of Toronto stacks is you probably have to throw in one of the top pitchers. I prefer Scherzer, so I'm going to go Scherzer here, and then throw in one of these cheaper guys. If you want to be throwing in, okay, I'll just go with Patino. Just because I mentioned, you know, I like righties against the White Sox, and he's got stuff. He's not safe by any means. He can give you that double or the single digit fantasy score pretty quickly. But yeah, but for this, we'll go here. Toronto, like I said, it's gonna be kind of tough to fit them in. Even if I just throw in two of their cheaper-ish bats, you're down to 3.4K. You throw in a third guy, I mean, the catcher's gonna be cheap. Because he doesn't really correlate too well with this lineup at all. I wouldn't do it. But I wouldn't do these three, but still, you're going to be kind of strapped for cash with Toronto, but still, I think they're in a great spot going up against Peralta. Dodgers, they have the second highest implied run total. They're priced even higher than Toronto. Again, it's going to be very difficult to fit in these guys. But going up against Rich Hill, he's meh. Below average pitcher. He's going to allow a lot of contact. He's not going to strike guys out, but he's also not going to go too deep into the game. So then you get that Mets bullpen behind him. And you can kind of see pretty quickly why the Dodgers are in a very nice spot. But again, very expensive. Yankees, third highest implied run total. Much more affordable. I do like the Yankees going up against Maeda here, especially like guys like Rizzo at 3.7K. I think it's still far too cheap. I'm going to be pretty strong on Rizzo today at first base. Even Gallo at 4.6. You know, getting these left-handed bats, very, very affordable. And you're still looking at 3.7 remaining for all your bats. Throw in one or two cheap guys from Chicago. Like I said, Cleveland's got some cheap plays as well that we'll get to, and you're able to fill in a nice lineup here. So those are the top three implied run totals. It's Toronto, Dodgers, and New York Yankees. I have the most interest in the Yankees. Sorry, most interest in the Yankees, just because of the pricing. Just to make it a lot easier to fit them in. But if you want to go with Toronto and Dodgers, no issues at all. You're probably going to be a little bit contrarian, separating yourself from the pack, just because it's going to be tough to fit in those top pitchers, and there's not much to like in that mid-tier range. So those are your top three implied run totals. I'll give you some other plays that I do like, though. I really am interested in the Detroit bats. Where they go? In the Detroit bats today. Going up against Ryu. I mentioned Ryu. He's a boomer bust kind of pitcher. He's going to do really well, or he's going to get you single digits. So over to Fangraphs. We love Fangraphs. I did the splits from the All-Star break on, so second half of the season against left-handed pitching. Number one team, Detroit. Their team as a whole is hitting over 300 against left-handed pitching since the All-Star break. That's over 30 points higher than the next team, Toronto, which is just absurd. Now, when I saw this stat, I was initially thinking like, listen, we know that Detroit was super hot out of the gates after the All-Star break. It's obviously skewed towards the beginning half of the second half of the season. That makes sense? So what I did, I was like, okay, we'll cut it in half. We'll just go the past 2 weeks. We'll go until August 7th and see what the numbers generate then. And then it got even more extreme. Detroit's hitting 347 as a team against left-handed pitching. A WRC plus 163 is just insane. A WOBA over 400. ISO 255. These guys are mashing left-handed pitching right now. And that just made me think, I got to get Detroit into my lineup. So Ryu, he can really struggle. Detroit, very, very affordable. I am going to be all over this team. Scoop, they finally made second base eligible, so we don't have to battle between him and Cabrera anymore. Grossman, Candelario, it's your typical guys from Detroit that I'm going to be all over. So Detroit, a great play today. And I don't think is going to be very owned, because I think people are going to see Ryu and be like, hey, he's a decent pitcher. They're not going to go there too much. LA Angels, I mentioned they're going up against McKenzie. He's an ultra boomer bust. He had a great start out. Once pitchers have historically had that great start, go deep into games with a no-hitter, the next start out, it's a bit of a letdown. So I do like the Angels bats. Guys like GAUSMAN are still too cheap, 2.9K. There's another value for you if you're looking for some value. On the other side, another value, Cleveland. Outside of Ramirez and Reyes, everybody else super cheap, super affordable. And like I said, they're going. They have been hitting well. I know I said I do kind of like Detmers here, but they have been hitting the ball well. Straw 2.9K in that leadoff spot. It's a great value for you. Even Mercado at 2.5K. Cleveland has interest. And one last one, just because value I think is going to be very key in the slate. Chicago. Chicago is very affordable. Looking at Schwindel, I got GAUSMAN already highlighted in there, but he can go to third base. Schwindel, 2.6K. He's going to be a very elite value today. Even a guy like Duffy, even a guy like Duffy is cheap, could be leading off 2.3K. So that kind of covers everything. Longer video. Actually, I don't know. I don't pay attention to the time and how long these things go, but still. You got your two pitchers at the top. It's going to be kind of tough to fit both of them in, but I do think it is possible. I got Manea and GAUSMAN. They're fine. Not too much interest in them, though. McKenzie, Ryu, boomer bust. Patino, decent. And then this kind of range here is just no man's land. If you're going to go lower, you kind of got to go down to like Detmers or Bubic, and then Thompson in an ultimate GPP. So that kind of covers things. We have another video out for the main slate or the late slate happening today. So go ahead and check that one out when it gets released. Mega Roar's got that one covered. As always, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and we will see you in the next video.